Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers, if you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Prime Tech peeps, welcome back to Prime Tech Files. I am Lilith.
And I'm Ricky.
And today we are talking about episode 109, Homecoming.
Yes.
Wow, let's get the enthusiasm pumped up. Ricky's like, it's a Claire episode. Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. I liked it, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. As I talk, I'll probably go through the emotions of I really liked it, but then I really hated it. So we'll see where we get to at the end of it.
So yeah, this episode is kind of self-explanatory. The big event in question is right in the title. So you want to give him a summary?
Claire and Jackie come under attack at Homecoming. Despite Nathan's best efforts to protect him, Peter finds the missing painting he's been looking for thanks to Simone. Ando continues to wait for a vanished hero. As Jessica plots revenge, Micah convinces DL that Nikki needs their help. With the help of Sangog, however you pronounce it, Mohinder finds proof of extraordinary powers and chooses his destiny.
This episode was written by Adam Armis and Kay Foster, but this was another Greg Beeman episode directed. I always know when he directs an episode. It's distracting, but not in a bad way. But it's he has you can tell who his favorites are. Is all that I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's like Peter and his stupid little hair flip thing that he does, kind of like Kristen Stewart in Twilight.
I think this is the one, but he's always got that. I don't know if this is one thing that he does, but I noticed it quite a lot. He has that extreme close-up pan, really quick whip into the character as something big is happening, and then because that happened quite a few times. I think it was between Peter and Sila when they're kind of looking at each other. There's a quick pan, quick extreme close up into him, then a quick extreme close up into Sila, then another quick extreme close up into Peter, and they just go back and forth for 4 cuts, really quickly.
Yep,
and
that's Greg Beeman. I don't know. Usually I like it, but when you watch these episodes back to back, I do a lot, you just start noticing stuff, and you're like, I never noticed that before. Maybe I shouldn't be watching so intensely. But yeah, I think that the writers, I don't know, I always find the episode after Tim Creighton written episode, I find lacking, I guess, because he's the showrunner, and it just feels like they kind of stumbled. This is a huge thing, and they kind of fumbled it a little bit for me.
Yeah, but I think that's, I don't know. I think it's also something to do with just the fight scene, basically, because you've kind of been building up to this save the cheerleader, save the world, and it's very anticlimactic, and I think that's what's severely lacking in Heroes, whereas something like Arrow, they can make really good, choreography, and they've got really good fight scenes, but with a show like Heroes, you're expecting the powers to come out, and I know Peter hasn't got full control of his powers at this point, but still, they could have done something a bit better than running and falling.
Let's construct a what-if scenario. Just quickly, I'm just saying, what if the big shocker of this whole episode is that he actually does die and doesn't get resurrected, and we get a new focus?
Yeah, that...
I like to play the what if game every now and then. That would have been a really good shocker, and it would have made people feel like nobody is safe.
Yeah, I think they tried to go with that. It wasn't. I think when I first saw it, I didn't think he was going to come back. So I was quite shocked. But upon rewatching it, you're it kind of is building up to something big happening, and the whole way through, they're saying, you could die. They're reinforcing this fact. And then it kind of, you're right, it is anticlimactic in the fact that, he's able to get up and walk away from it. Who do you think would have carried on in his place? Like, if they had to carry on with one of the characters in the show to take his place afterwards, who would it have been?
I say we could have killed Janice and made Parkman the main character.
Yeah, but you're a Parkman fan, aren't you?
I mean, if we would have got rid of Janice early on, he could have been so much better, because she just really was his noose around his neck. Every time you saw Matt, you almost always saw Janice, or it was like, oh, why don't you call your wife? How about not?
And even when like he was on his own, he's always getting calls from Janice. I think it would have been good for Nathan to take the place. It would have been a good
They would have had to change his character a little bit, though, because I don't know, American audiences just aren't a fan of douchebags as the main character unless it's Arrow, because they think it's cute he's in love with Felicity. And he's already cheated on his wife, who has 2 sons with him, who basically got paralyzed because he was going after a criminal. So I don't know.
Yeah, but that would have been the redemption story, wouldn't it? What was that? Redemption was season 5, sorry.
Oh, you just keep rubbing that salt in the wound, don't you? So many grand plans for that season, and you just never have. I mean, I personally love Nathan. I like a real bastard. Like, that's my thing. Like, I like an anti-hero. So I would have been perfectly fine with it. Peter was just so milquetoast that I just couldn't understand. I guess it's kind of like, again, Kristen Stewart's character in Twilight, where if you keep a person blank enough, it becomes an everyman situation, and it's more easily relatable.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know. But, I mean, Peter did get a little better. I mean, his best episodes were always the future episodes, though.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to shortly.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
So yeah, we start this episode off in Odessa, Texas, at the high school with Claire, not at the paper.
Yeah.
That's the only place in Texas, LA.
Where was this big paper banner that she was meant to have? Because I'm sure that banner that said homecoming later on in the episode was actually a banner and not paper. I'm sure it was like felt, but anyway, that's just me being nitpicky.
Pulling a Lilith. So we're standing outside, and Jackie's Claire and Zach are off together, and then the cheerleaders are together, and they're waiting for the homecoming announcement.
Starts off with the plastics from Mean Girls walking in.
So everybody's walking, and Jackie's like, I know you don't think you're going to be homecoming queen. You almost killed our quarterback, and he's a useless rag right now.
I know, which sets up exactly what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, I know, right? They totally telegraphed it.
I know, right?
They're like, don't get upset, but Claire won. And Zach got all the unpopular kids to vote for her.
Zach missed his calling as campaign manager. Like, what could have been? What if?
What if? So we cut to New York, and it's Nathan opens up that painting that Mr. Linderman sent to him. And so he's Simone, and that was just so random.
Yeah.
And she's all like, I believe you're crazy, brother.
Yeah, that bit kind of put me off, like, how she could believe Peter, but she couldn't believe, At that point, when you realize that Isaac was telling the truth, shouldn't you go say, I'm sorry, and kiss and make up and have hot sex, like, in the paint or something at that point? Maybe it's something. Maybe it's Peter. Maybe she just likes wet blankets.
I guess. Anyway, after examining the picture, they figure the dude in it's supposed to be Peter.
It's obviously Peter, sorry.
Heroin chic Peter.
Yeah.
Nathan's like, maybe. And then, like, I don't know, Nathan just throws the black paint all over it.
It's just Nathan's twisted logic, isn't it? He's like, essentially just saying if Peter's not there, he can't die. Like, he says he doesn't believe it, but I think he's seen too much, but he still wants to give off the vibe that, he's too cool for school. So he's just going to do what he can in his own little way to try and protect his little brother. So
we moved into the Nevada desert with Jessica buying a rifle. I wanted that. I couldn't believe it was only too large. I was like, I need to get some friends that work in the black market, apparently. That's a badass gun, and I loved it. So obviously she's buying this gun to get Micah back from DL for Nikki. Speaking of Micah, he's with his father, and they're at a cafe along Highway 12, which puts them in, like, Utah. Micah continues, like, he's telling his dad, Mom's sick. She needs our help.
And Dad's just like, no.
Can we just can we just stick her in the middle of a wall, DL? It's all that I can think. And then Micah's like, makes the Batman and Robin reference, and then DL's like, I ain't wearing no damn tights. And then when they get to the cafe, of course, there's a police car. And let's not forget, he's a fugitive.
Yep, just in case we didn't remember, they have to remind us.
And then when he gets back to the car, Micah is gone. What a little turd.
I know, right? It's the whole way through, Micah's been like the voice of reason. This actually reminds us that he's a child.
That is a fair point I think they were actually trying to make, because he does seem like way wiser than both his parents. Cut to Chennai, India, with Mohinder and Nirand discussing the dreams Mohinder has been having. Nirand, being the little turd that he is, having a deja vu conversation.
Yeah, man. How is this guy not like picking up on this? Like,
maybe he secretly worked for the company too. Who knows? I think everybody worked. Anybody that was an antagonist was basically probably working for the company. We just never had time to get back to it. So anyway, it's like he talks about it being Freudian. It's just information from the subconscious. And then Mohinder shows Nirand Sanjog's file.
yeah.
And clearly it's the boy. It's like, oh, he can enter people's dreams. And he's just like, Nirand's just not having it. And I don't know.
And I'm sure the kid is wearing exactly the same thing that you see him in.
With
like,
the exact same soccer ball.
Yeah.
That's a magic soccer ball, eh?
I know, right?
Cut to Peter meeting Simone at Isaac's apartment. Just, oh my God, I feel so bad for Isaac. These people just give no fracks about him. They're still just in his space while he's not there, which is not cool. Anyway, Simone tells him that Nathan found the painting and destroyed it, but she did happen to get the high school's address for him.
Oh no, but she also had a digital copy of it, didn't she? Which essentially is a photograph.
I know.
That the whole thing, like, yeah, she was like, I've got a digital image of it, and I'm like, that's just a photograph. Yes. But she's done all the legwork, hasn't she? She didn't believe anything that Isaac says, but Peter said yes. She helps him.
By 8:12 p.m., he could be dead. So she...
Yeah, how did they get that number? That was so random.
Oh, no, it was the clock in the painting. I guess that was a good digital image. Nice, crisp, and clean resolution there. And she's like, promise me you'll come back to me. And I'm just, bleh, bleh, please don't. So off Peter goes to Odessa, Texas to find Union Wells High School despite looking like an old creepy dude. It's like, Peter, you need to think this through a little better. He goes
there with the exact jacket that's in the painting, and he doesn't think, maybe I'll just use something different, but whatever.
Yeah, little choices to change little outcomes. We'll get there, because the opening is kind of talking about, and the closing are talking about fate, and is it humans' free will and all that stuff. But, it never factors into this episode. Everybody's still just running around with, chickens with their heads cut off. Yeah. But anyway, we head over to Midland, Texas at the Burnt Toast Diner. A cell phone rings, and he thinks it's Hero, but guess who it is? It's Peter.
Yeah, and they love to talk to each other, but they say each other's full names, every time.
He tells Anna that he and Hero need to get to Odessa, Texas, and then Anna's like, oh, what luck, we're already in Texas. And he's like, okay, I'm getting on a flight, and I'm going to meet you where you are. So we get a glimpse of Mr. Bennett looking at Isaac's painting, and then he kind of he's looking at it, and he sees the vague red figure reaching out, and he's like, Eden, this is not what I ordered. This is not what I ordered at all. And she's like, dude, he's not a vending machine. You can't put drugs in and expect the painting you want to come out. And I'm like, thank you, Eden. And this is the side of Eden that I like. She's getting emotional, but she's actually caring about another person like her. I love the way Eden's character arc ended, but I hated that it ended so soon.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially when the only other women that they've got they're pushing is Simone and Nikki at that time. Yeah. Eden was a nicer counter for those characters. Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of explains to her the situation about Siler. This is the only time that they all know exactly where he is, and to top it all off, Claire, his daughter, is in danger. He's trying to invoke that sympathy, and we as the audience totally get it, but I still kind of get Eden's side of it. 2.
Yeah.
Claire is walking through the schoolyard with Zach, and that's when he explains to her that she got the freak vote, right?
Yeah. But that whole thing about the freak vote was basically everything that Claire has been worried about. She when in the first episode she's got her powers and she doesn't want to show them off. She doesn't want anyone to know about it because they'll think she's a freak. Whereas here, her being a quote unquote freak is what gets her homecoming queen. So it kind of should show her that, you know, she shouldn't be scared of her.
I thought that was such an after school special moment though.
It was.
There's a couple of those in this episode, but he gives her the book of Activating Evolution by Chandra Suresh, and you know, he's like, hey, there's a chapter about spontaneous regeneration. And then Jackie comes up and teases Claire, and like Claire just decks her. It's like the best Claire's ever done in all of Heroes.
I don't understand why she gets so angry about her dad like grounding her for this, because it's something that should happen. Like, no matter whether it's homecoming or not, she did do something pretty bad. And
I'm surprised they even let her do that. Like I mean, you hit a student unprovoked and you're the homecoming, like automatically you're not the homecoming queen. You're not allowed at the dance. And guess what? A week suspension. Like, oh, they could have used a supervisor about how high schools in America actually work. We see a Greyhound bus stop after, you know, Claire gets grounded. And it's Micah waiting for a bus. And I'm like, I think that's a regular bus stop. But I'll just go.
And then, yeah, and he starts running away in full view, like there's cars driving past and his dad's chasing after him.
All he had to do was say stranger danger, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one's...
Because let's be honest, Micah doesn't look like he could be his kid. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So Micah's like, you know, he tries to convince him to go back to get his mom, Nikki. Well, Micah says that she's sick and she needs their help. He goes, I still love her. And then, like, he's like, we'll go home and help.
Yeah, he's teaching his son a great lesson there. All you have to do is run away and daddy will listen to you.
So Mohinder and Nirand are walking through a crowded market, showing a picture of Sanjay Gayer to everyone, asking them if they know the boy. And Nirand is like, dude, we're gonna get mugged. He's like, you and your fancy shoes are gonna get us killed. And I'm like, I don't know if India tourism is really greatly appreciating the conversation right now. But anyway, they're showing this picture, and one of the people recognizes him. And Mohinder, like, because Mohinder's like, I got 500 rupees, which actually isn't a lot of money, but maybe it's a lot of money in India, but the conversion isn't a lot of money. And the guy just points him and, like, literally just turns him around, and there's the kid.
You would think he'd see, like, you know, a bunch of kids playing football and, like on his way, and he'd, you know, have a look at them, as opposed to just showing this picture around.
Showing pictures and screaming, I got money.
Yeah.
Oh, Mohinder, you are very sheltered, aren't you, son? Anyway, he goes up to the kid and he's like, I've got two paths in front of me. I need to know which one is my destiny. And the boy's like, you already know. And then he runs off. And I'm like, 500 rupees for that? Great job. But
it's essentially Mohinder, like, for the whole like series thus far, he's always had this choice of like whether or not to carry on his father's research or stay at home. He's always had that choice, and this kid is basically saying you know the answer, and I'm sure Mohinder deep down knows the answer. He just wants clarification. He just wants someone to tell him it's all right to carry on with your father's work, and that's what he's looking for from
Mohinder. He gets better after this episode, though. His sense of clarity is all starting to come together. But back at the Burnt Toast Diner, Ando is drinking another cup of coffee, and then he notices the picture on the wall from Charlie's birthday. So anyway, he asks one of the waitresses about the picture. She's like, that was taken 6 months ago. Nice Easter egg drop for the next episode, by the way. And that Hero and Charlie were close, and that he popped out of her life. Claire's phone rings. She checks it. It's Zach text messages are telling her to open up her window. He tells Claire he's here to rescue her, to be her knight in shining armor that happens to like other knights in shining armor, I guess. She's like, I'm grounded. Zach's like, you can't ground a queen. And I'm like, honey, don't set yourself up for those comments. He manages to convince her, and she goes, you're going to be my date for the dance. And he's like, Claire?
That's when it gets really it gets really preachy at that point. But yeah, if you get past that, it's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, again, back at the Burnt Toast Cafe, or diner, whatever you want to say, Peter arrives and finds Ando reading the newspaper. Where I presume the swallows slay the dragons.
Maybe, I don't know.
He introduces himself and apologizes for being late. He's like, yo, where's Hero? And I was like, he's on a side mission. And then, like, he tells him about Charlie, and then Peter's like, do you have any powers that I can use, basically?
But no, Hero's still kind of technically there. Like, through Ando, he's able to, like, pass on the message of, he who is afraid to use his power does not deserve to have the power. And that kind of pushes Peter forward and, kind of gives him
fortitude to put the soldier on and face that awful fate. Oh, but I like Ando because he goes, without Hero, I'm not really anything either. But he really is. But he doesn't realize that for a really long time. So Mr. Bennett asks Mama Bennett where Claire is, and she's like, oh, she's gone. I saw her sneak across the lawn about 10 minutes ago. And while you love Mama Bennett in that moment, and you go, Noah, you dummy, if you would have clued her in years ago, we wouldn't be having this damn problem now, would we?
And they also, it's just the way that they play him out as to be like this really cool customer, and he's like really good at figuring stuff out and all that kind of stuff. And his door is just able to walk out, and he's not able to see it until it's too late.
Back in Mohinder Dad's office, Nirand tells Mohinder that he's wasted his time and that the boy is just a manifestation of his subconscious. Inside the door, Mohinder sees Sanjog and goes, oh, it's a dream. And we follow Sanjog. And then we cut to Nirand telling Chandra the very same thing that he told Mohinder. And Chandra's getting all preachy about, I'm going to do what I want. Everybody thinks I'm a madman, but so was Darwin and Einstein and Gandhi. And I'm like, I don't think you're allowed to compare yourself now. Anyway, he goes, Shanti's death is what's causing Chandra to search for these answers, but he needs to let go. And he goes, Nirand's like, dude, if you continue down this path, the university's going to strip your tenure. And, it's like, changes again. And he's watching the conversation he had with his father before he left from New York. And then Mohinder tells Chandra that he's finished reading the manuscript for Acting Evolution. And Chandra is livid, dude. This scene kind of breaks my heart until, you kind of realize what Chandra was up to.
Yeah, and there's that kind of, I don't know if you read into it like this, but I saw there was the kind of, the parallels between Mohinder and his father and Peter and Nathan. You've got
and even, to an extent, even though we don't really get into it, Siler and his dad, why he becomes a watchmaker and all that stuff.
Yeah, because there's the whole, you've got the older one who's kind of more straight-laced and down the line, and they'll do anything to try and protect the people that they love, even if it makes them come off as a douchebag, whereas the younger one is always, they're ruled by their emotions, and they want to be bigger in the eyes of the older person. And that's exactly what happens in this with Mohinder and his father. He tells him, heart of stone, you've got to have a heart of stone. And all the while, Mohinder's little heart is breaking because daddy won't love him.
And it's sad, but, we really finally realize everything that's going on. Sanjog appears before Mohinder and tells him that he has his answer. Mohinder wakes up, and of course, he looks at that computer program.
Yeah.
And it's that damn prompt asking, would you like to quit? Yes or no? He presses a key and says no, and then it looks for a password, and it's his sister's. Then we see the list of evolved humans that his father discovered, and Mohinder begins to weep with joy.
I completely forgot about the list. Like, I know it was... I remembered the list, but, like, I completely forgot that it was part of the campaign as well. I completely forgot there was that Are You on the List kind of campaign. Like, after the Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. But it never really got to the same heights as...
Yeah. Oh, God. Meanwhile, we're back in Odessa at UUO's high school. Peter is looking at the trophy case, and he sees the news story about Jackie the hero. And then runs into Claire, and he's like, hey, do you know Jackie? And she's like, yeah, she's a cheerleader. And Claire's like, oh, are you a reporter? He goes, no, just an alumni.
I'm just a bit of a creeper.
Claire tells him that Jackie's actually not that special. And then Peter goes, what Jackie did seems like a heroic thing to do.
Yeah.
And Claire goes, I could just be jealous. Peter tells her that things get better after high school and I try to fight down my vomit one more damn time. And then he walks outside and glances up and sees the clock and homecoming banner that was in the background of the painting.
That he knows is his destiny, and instead of like he's tempting fate at this point. Both him and HRG are both kind of tempting their fate at this moment. They know, like, from the pictures what's going to happen, but they don't know how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Or they kind of know when it's going to happen, but instead of like trying to look for these things, they just kind of wait in place, waiting for something to happen, and then run to they're rushing to their destiny. And it's just kind of weird, like, especially for Peter, like, he knows that that's where it seems like he's going to die, but instead of trying to do something about it, he's just waiting there, just tempting it, just hoping. And it just seems like he's hoping to die.
Well, and then here's the gag of it all, is that it's another man looking at the newspaper clipping of Jackie. And we see that it's a broken watch. So basically every time we see a broken watch, we know it's Siler. So in the locker room, Jackie is, getting ready for the halftime show. And Jackie confronts Claire, telling her she's trying to be like her and she shouldn't be on the team. And, stop trying to be like me. She's basically doing the Mean Girls. You're a less hot version of me, basically.
Of course, everyone files out, and there's only two of them left, and that's when Siler attacks.
Like, he attacks, but of course it's the wrong girl, and so Claire goes running out.
Well, the whole Claire and Siler story is really quite good. That you know what's going to happen, and the suspense is there, and you know that something's going to happen, and you're just waiting for it to happen. And I like the fact that he attacks the wrong person, because the whole way through it's been Jackie who's been taking the credit for everything. So yeah.
Yeah, I like how this storyline actually turned out, because you go, oh, what's the point of this all?
Yeah.
And then you finally go, oh, okay. So that this catty teenage girl stuff actually does have a point. That is nice. After, he slices Jackie's skull open and realizes that she's not special, and then he looks over after he had basically killed Claire.
Yeah.
He sees her regenerate, and he drops Jackie.
Of course, she just stands there instead of trying to sneak off. She just stands there, gets up, looks at Siler, and then that's when he knows who to get.
She comes flying out of the locker room, runs into Peter. He sees all the blood, then he sees Siler at the end of the hall, and they're like, thank God Peter runs with her. He tells her to run, he runs right behind her, because I thought it was going to be like a confrontation. Well,
he tries to have that confrontation, and then all of a sudden the locker doors start flying at him, and he's like, nah.
Anyway, Peter dodges those doors, and, Siler starts following them. Mr. Bennett finds the locker room and sees Jackie's body on the floor. He thinks it's Claire, realizes that it's not her, and then we cut to Claire running up the stairs like the painting.
This time we've got Peter with her as well.
Falls up the stairs, of course. And then with Siler at the bottom, Peter tells Claire to run and find a lot of people. He thinks that Siler doesn't want to be seen, which is a good guess. Bad guys, you don't want to. So she runs off, and good grief. Siler grabs Peter, and they both fall off the bleachers onto the pavement. And then the clock turns to 8:12, and Peter lies on the pavement in a pool of blood.
Anticlimactic.
So after that, we cut to commercial. We come back, and we see Peter lying on the ground, and he's regenerating.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they had Claire pull him back together. I just don't like the way that he instantly knows what to do. I think it would have been a nice touch, especially because how Siler knows instantly how to use the powers pretty much to the best of their abilities, whereas Peter doesn't really know. He doesn't know what powers he's getting, because he never knows if people around him actually have powers. And him instantly fixing himself, kind of, I thought it would have been a nicer touch for Claire to be like, oh no, you got to move this leg around here, and then bend this leg.
Let me push these ribs back in.
Exactly.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. But Siler's gone. Peter's like, where is he? And he's like, hey, go get some help. And then they kind of awkwardly and clumsily introduce him.
The cheese on it as well. Oh god.
And Peter's like,
Did I do it? Yeah, did I
save the world? She's like, I don't know.
I'm just a cheerleader.
Oh God, just kill me now. Anyway, she runs off for help, but not before her father finds her. And she's like, we have to go back. And HRG is like, nah, son. The police got this. Let's go home. And so we kind of run into the woods and we see Siler run into Eden.
Pimping it. She's just like, yeah, I'm not scared. I like it.
Well, she's got the Haitian. I wouldn't be scared either. Which, honestly, how come Siler didn't get that? Like, if I was Siler, I would totally try to have gotten that power. But instead, he kills Eden later on. After that, after we see them kind of subdue Siler, and I go, wow, that was a quick arc. The police arrive, and Peter's, like, finally, like, doing the last little bit of stuff to make himself look normal. And, well, he's covered in blood, and the police think it's him. And Peter's like, no, he's getting away. I'm like, nah, son. You're going to jail, mister. It was just so funny. Like, he just couldn't believe that they were trying to arrest him. Oh, God, that was just priceless. He's so naive. Meanwhile, back in India, Mohinder has a conversation with his mother. And she's like, so I guess you're going back to New York. And he's like, why didn't you tell me he had success with his research? And she's like, he wanted you to live your own life, and he's going to find. So basically he tells his mother, I'm going to go back, I'm going to find them and warn them of the dangers. And she goes, who's going to protect you? And I'm like, that's a good damn question.
Cut to black.
Basically. Back at the cafe in Utah, DL tells Micah that they're heading back to Vegas, and Micah's like, you don't actually need to do that. I already called and told her where we were. And just as we see that, we see Jessica has the rifle, and he's in her sights of her rifle. And so, back at another diner, the Burnt Toast Diner, 6 months in the past, Charlie pours Hero some coffee. Hero introduces himself and tells her he's there to save her life. She's got no time for that, because guess what? It's her birthday, and it's time to blow out the candles. And for some random reason, she wants a stranger to eat her birthday cake with her. So we close out with a nice little quote from, voiceover from Mohinder, aka Sunil, and fade to black.
Yay.
Give it a grade, maybe?
Yeah, I'll go with high C, low B, so C plus B minus, I guess. It's not that's basically what I give everything, isn't it? But that's how I feel. Like, I think if they had delivered on the ending, it would have been bumped up, but it just, looking back, like, probably at the time I thought it was great, but looking back in hindsight right now, it's, what they could have done and what they should have done is, two different things. And I just think that they really dropped the ball with the ending. How about you?
I say this one is just a straight up C. It is very average, and like the build up to the Siler thing, like we're at episode 10 out of 23 episodes. Like, what was really gonna happen? Yeah,
and especially in the fact that this is the big thing that they've been building up towards, and they just dropped it. They just dropped the ball. Like, it doesn't feel like it should be. Like, I'm assuming this was kind of like the mid-season finale, or at least towards the end. And when you get to like 10, 13 episodes, you've got to have something big to draw people back in for, after the break. And
13 was, what was it? 12 was the mid-season finale. So that's God's End, which is so I don't know, like, it was kind of weird that they decided to go this route with Homecoming, and then we do a flashback that basically is filler. I mean, it's exposition on top of that.
Oh no, I love.
Me too, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it really didn't progress the what was coming for next for Fallout. So it was fun to get the exposition in that kind of way, like you didn't see it coming. Yeah,
it also kind of gives it kind of makes you want to see what's happening, and because there's that break in the middle, it kind of makes you want it more. It's like in The Walking Dead, where they split everyone up and they'll tell each story bit by bit, as opposed to just like keeping them all, telling all the stories in every episode. It kind of gives stuff time to breathe. But to be fair, with this episode, you don't really need to give it time to breathe, because everything's such a disappointment. So,
like, I think like 6 months ago should have happened kind of before all of this, but I guess we'll get to that in the next episode. But yeah, it was just kind of average. Like, things are coming together, and then again they shoved in the Sanderses when we didn't need.
They should have. I think it would have given the episode more time and set everything up a bit more if they didn't have the Sanders in it. Not because, we don't like them, but because, their part of the storyline just didn't have anything to do with it.
Let's see. Favorite scene?
I'll go with, I don't even know. You go first.
I'm just going to say it. Claire punching Jackie. It's my favorite scene in this whole episode.
I kind of like the reveal of Sylar and his powers. I thought it was gruesome, and it kind of like makes you sit up and that they're kind of showing that on TV at the time, even though they showed bits and pieces beforehand. But this is like
person.
Like and it's it's there, it's out there, and I thought it was quite good.
Maybe you think any of the dialogue stick out to you?
I've just got to go with cheese. Are you the cheerleader? Did I save you? Did I save the world? It's just thinking about it. I don't like it because it's a great line. I like it because of just the cheese factor, and it's, it explains Peter quite apt because, he's in his doing, and he just thinks that, he thinks of things very simply, like he is a very simple man. So.
I guess I'll go with Chandra in Mohinder's dream, where he's like, Darwin said a scientific man ought to have no wishes, no affections, a heart of stone. That's me, Mohinder. It's not you. Go home. I just loved it. I was like, just go home. Like, what's the iconic moment that sticks out from this?
I think it's got to be the image of, like, not just the image, but also the painting and the image, the actual, footage of Peter, like laying down there, like bent all around and stuff like that. I think that's, it's quite a visual, and they could have, played up to it a bit more. But, how about
my favorite moment is watching Nathan put the blackout paint all over them. And then you cut to Simone's face, and she's just like, what? Oh, Simone. she was so daffy. I just couldn't. So any trivia for that?
I've just got like little bits and pieces, like the corpse, one of the corpses is basically Isaac's dead corpse. Which they've probably just reused. I think that's all I've got, really.
There's a typo on the Homecoming Queen court. Tamara Greer's name is spelled with 3 E.
Greer.
I remember, originally, when we see Fallout, we wonder why Peter gets sick, and then it kind of, dawned on me that Peter was exposed to Sylar, who had all these abilities. It didn't click with for a few episodes, and I'm like, oh yeah, because he has all those and he absorbed them, but he never really used any of them except for the telekinesis, which he didn't really even know he was doing. Flash of Eden. Yeah, I quite liked it. It's basically telling the story of Eden before she discovered her powers, and it's told as like a fairy tale, which I quite dug. It's kind of Cinderella-like, with the evil stepmother, and it's actually told as a fairy tale. It starts off with like once upon a time, and the stepmother put her to work and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was really cool. I liked it. I like Micah good now. I actually like Marcus Chu's kind of framing of sequential art. A lot more, like his aesthetic just speaks to me. The story was by Pierluigi Catherine, and I like this was the time when they started really doing different things with the actual tie-in. Like this next one is told in third person. Well, no, not third person. It's told from like the perspective of somebody who actually didn't show up in the episode. And like they just really started doing really cool things, and this was a really good one. I like this one the most. I actually printed it out.
Yeah, I really like this one. It's the first one that I've actually read proper, and been involved in, as opposed to just like reading. I really enjoyed it. I think it's because it was different from the other ones. It told story in a different way, which was always
and I like that we got 2
2
stories in a row. I'm not even gonna lie. Also, the Easter egg, when you downloaded it from the website back in 2006, was behind the scene images of Emilio Ventimiglia and Hayden Panettiere during the filming of Homecoming. I like the high-res paintings personally. Like, I'm not a fan of those like early 2000 shows with behind the scenes. Like, it was all too staged. That's just me personally. I guess we should do some shameless plugs and self-promotion,
I've got some emails. I'll read some emails first. So Grizzly Mage, she says, I've enjoyed these first few episodes. They really took your attention and averted it straight to the screen. Definitely had me hooked. Can't stop watching. She's already on season 2 a week later. which she watches whenever she's got free time. Macatronic, called his actual name is Gareth, but that's his Twitter. He just says 2 words, unreal. And finally, I've got Shayla _3v3. Her name's actually Shay. She just gives me points. Hero is hilarious. Can't wait to see Peter channel his powers more. What's up with Save the Cheerleader, Save the World? Professor Suresh is a hottie, which I'm sure you agree with. Nikki is crazy. Interested to see where she lines up with everyone else. And I knew something was off about the big-eyed Tinkerbell that was befriending Professor Suresh. So that's actually quite cool, like hearing someone's thoughts who hasn't actually seen the show. This is obviously her first watch, so it's good. Yeah, I'd really love to. I want more thoughts from people who haven't watched the show before, and this is like they're watching it like with fresh eyes, because it's always good to hear someone's point of view. They seem like they're fresh and they're untainted by season 2.
It's time for shameless plugs and self-promotion. Ricky's favorite part of the podcast.
Download our podcast. Download the podcast Save the World, because we like having numbers. Download numbers. Don't stream it if you can help it, unless you're listening to it on SoundCloud or Stitcher, which we will be on soon. Rate and review our podcast as well. It helps the algorithm, the famous algorithm. Check out Southgate Media Group on iTunes. They have loads of podcasts on TV and general pop culture. You can find anything you want there. Also go to southgatemedia.com. They've got hosts. You got details on the hosts, such as me and Lilith. And also they've got blogs, weekly blogs. Every week, every Saturday, we do weekly live tweeting. Details at our Twitter on Primatech Files. You can also use the Primatech Files hashtag, and that will help you join in the conversations. Episode 9, which we've just discussed, we had these people live tweeting along with us. Cinzia667, Lucy21 Taylor, English Idiot 101, and Space Musafa. They were either tweeting along with us or, just favoriting / retweeting stuff that we had already done. Also, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Primatech Files. You can also find us on our brand new Tumblr. You guessed it, primatechfiles.tumblr.com. And you can finally email us, primatechfiles@gmail.com. You can follow me, Ricky J. Diaz, on Twitter. That's at Ricky J. Diaz, RICKYJDIAZ, or Z if you are English.
You can on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. You can find me on Tumblr when I'm not working on our brand new Tumblr, LilithFairyHellfire.tumblr.com. And please be sure to check out my blog, littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com, which is dedicated to comic book geeks and pop culture junk. That's about all we have for you guys. So remember,
download the podcast, save the world.